What about the workers? What about the workers? See, if you've been watching my segments of realist history, you know that I've given you an introduction to the industrial age in the United States of America. Okay. We've talked about some of the biggest industrialists of the time: John D. Rockefeller, Andrew Carnegie, J.P. Morgan. We've talked about some of their strategies. Okay. But what about the workers? Well, today we're going to look at the industrial age from the standpoint of the workers. Okay. But before we do, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I am your homeboy first, and this is the realest, most entertaining show in the game. Put it on something. Again, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that share button, put all of your people on it. Turn on your notifications so you won't miss out on anything. You feel me? There's only one place you can come to and get sports coverage. You can get local politics, you can get national politics, you get music, and you get taught U.S. history. Who else has all this shit but me? I got you, baby. So make sure you hit that notification button so you don't miss out on anything. Okay. If you missed the previous segments of realist history, make sure you go back and watch those. Now, I'm gonna give y'all a quiz next week. Okay, this is the last section in this chapter on industrialization. So next week we got a quiz. So between now and next week, you better go back. Make sure you paid attention, that you're on your game, so you can do well on your quiz. Okay, real talk. But let's get into it. So today's objectives, okay? We want to be able to assess the problems that workers faced in the late 1800s. We're going to compare the goals and strategies of different labor organizations, and we want to be able to analyze the causes and effects of strikes. Okay, and a lot of people get strikes and boycotts mixed up. And so we're going to try to rectify that today. Let's look at some of the key terms that we got. Okay, and I'm going to take this banner down, y'all, just so I can make sure y'all see everything. Okay. All right. So sweatshop, small, hot, dark, and dirty workhouses. Okay. A company town, communities near workplaces where housing was owned by the business and rented out to employees. We'll talk about that. Collective bargaining, negotiating as a group for higher wages or better working conditions. Now, you probably heard collective bargaining. You watch the NFL, watch the NBA or something like that. You may have heard on your job. Okay. We want to definitely talk about that. Y'all need to know about that shit. Okay. Socialism. You've heard that word a lot during campaign season. Okay. You heard Trump calling Kamala Harris a socialist. Okay. So what is socialism? It's an economic and political philosophy that favors public instead of private control of property and income. Okay. And by that definition, that woman is not no damn socialist. All right. But I digress. Let's go. Knights of Labor, a labor union that included workers of any trade, skilled or unskilled. Okay. We'll talk about the difference between skilled labor and unskilled labor within the section. Terrence V. Powderly, the leader of the Knights of Labor beginning in 1881, who encouraged boycotts and negotiations with employers. Samuel Gompers, a poor English immigrant who formed the AFL, a skilled workers union in 1886. The AFL, American Federation of Labor, a loose organization of skilled workers from many unions devoted to specific crafts or trades. The Haymarket Riot, a labor protest in Chicago in 1886 that ended in dozens of deaths when someone threw a bomb. The Homestead Strike, in 1892 Pennsylvania steel workers strike that resulted in violence between company police and strikers. Eugene B. Debs, leader of the American Railway Union, who eventually became a socialist. And the Pullman strike, a nationwide strike in 1894 of rail workers that halted railroads and mail delivery. So those are going to be our key terms for this section. Of course, we'll have other terms that we deal with as well throughout the section. Okay, but our overarching question for this section is this: How did the rise of labor unions shape relations among workers, big business, and government? Okay. Go ahead and tell y'all this off the rip. At this time in America, again, we're in the late 1800s, 1870s, 80s, 90s, okay? Government was taking the side of big business. Now, you may say, well, shit, they're still taking the side of big business today. I understand that sentiment. I truly understand that sentiment, okay? But even if you feel that way, that shit was on steroids back then, Jack, okay? They were not looking out for the little guy for real back then. For real now. I know we feel like that today. I know that. And that still does exist. Too much so. Even with a Democrat in office. Too much so. I'm telling you now. Joe Biden will be viewed. I'm about to say he'd be viewed as a socialist, but let Trump tell he a socialist today. These folks wish they had a Joe Biden back then. I'll put it like that. Okay? They really did. Y'all gonna see these workers were getting fucked over. Let's get it. It says the booming American economy relied on workers who began to rebel against low pay and unsafe working conditions. Struggles between business owners and workers intensified. Industrial workers faced hardships. Factory owners employed people who would work for low wages. Many of these people were immigrants. Sound familiar? They often labored in dangerous sweatshops. Laborers often had to live in company towns and buy goods at high interest at company stores. Let's break this slide down, y'all. First of all, y'all see these motherfuckers. Capitalism, okay? Economic system in which the people got the power, okay, with some government regulation. Now, at this time it was minimal. Today is more. But in a capitalistic economy, one of the key features from a business standpoint is keeping your costs low. And we know in American history, the desire to keep costs low has led to America doing some fucked up shit, slavery, and this shit. And today, a federal minimum wage of $7.25. But y'all see how America been bringing these goddamn immigrants in here, been encouraging immigrants in this bitch? Why? Why the immigrants? How are the immigrants going to help them keep wages low? Because they take advantage of these people vulnerability, man. And they take advantage of these people being desperate and coming over here and leaving fucked up situations and just goddamn trying to make it. They take advantage of that shit. Take advantage of it. Okay? So that's another reason why I can't fucking understand other than misogyny and the desire to be next to white supremacy. Why so many Latino men would vote for Donald Trump motherfucking ass. Don't get it. Because motherfuckers like him who've been exploiting immigrants forever in this bitch. That shit ain't nothing new, dog. What's different between now and then, these immigrants that this slide is talking about were white people. White people coming in here getting fucked over. But many of my white brothers and sisters, I guess they don't pay attention to these slides, I guess. And some of them do, and then they think, well, we made it through that. We in my great grands came over here penniless from Italy, and they made it. They came from Ireland. Hell, they ain't had to deal with racial discrimination either, though. They were getting fucked over now for being an immigrant, and them motherfuckers getting paid low. But their whiteness didn't stop them from shit. As long as they assimilated this shit, they were able to rise up. We'll talk more about assimilation and all that kind of shit. Next chapter. Okay. Sweatshops. Sweatshops. What do I mean? Sweatshop. Was it just hot in there first? No, it wasn't just hot. Okay. It was dangerous in that motherfucker. You can go to work and not come home. Your ass can get killed up at work. Okay. Your mental health gonna be fucked up because of your job. For real, for real. Like it's just loud up in this bitch. It's dark, it's dusty. Okay. Think about just imagine hearing these loud machines all damn day for 12 hours, because that was the average work day. Now 12 hours, one of motherfucking 8 hours a day, they ain't your average shit. 12 hours a day, you just hearing this loud ass shit, and you in there doing this work, and it's hot as a motherfucker in here. A sweatshop that was here in America before. Now, of course, that shit still exists in this world today. Okay, because a lot of these American companies, they ship these jobs overseas, where to countries, excuse me, that don't have as much regulation. You got people who are desperate, and their governments just want them to be employed. So hey, they do the work. I mean, when I was little, Michael Jordan caught a lot of flack because Nike was being accused of making Jordans overseas in sweatshops. Well, I'm telling you, that used to be the norm in the United States of America in the late 1800s, Jack. It did. All right. Now you might wonder, well, why the workers just don't goddamn say fuck that shit, man? Because hell, a lot of these workers lived in company towns where not only did the big time industrialists own the factory where these motherfuckers work, he also owned the apartments that these motherfuckers were living in. He owned the little stores and shit where these folks shopped. So, like, when they got their check or when they got their payment, when they got paid, bro, it's like they giving the money straight back to this motherfucker, dog. Because I got to pay my rent and I got to pay for these goods. I'm getting these goods, at a high interest rate. See how these folks getting fucked over? That was life in the late 1800s. And as a result of all this shit and more, labor unions formed. Workers tried collective bargaining to gain more power against employers. One form was a strike, in which workers stop working until their demands are met. Okay? Collective bargaining. You do something collectively, you do it as a group. When you bargain, you negotiate. Okay? I like to use this example. When I was a teacher, I felt like I deserved $100,000 a year, easy, bare minimum for the shit I was doing. You understand me? But if I went to the principal, if I went to the superintendent of schools, hell, if I went to the state superintendent of schools, and I demanded $100,000, and I say I ain't working anymore until I get it, and the motherfucker say, okay. You a good teacher. You a great teacher. Motherfuckers acknowledge you one of the best. But you one person, Jay. We get somebody else to go in that room. And they would have said, they would have chucked the deuces. But I'm one person. If I could click up with some folk, okay? If I could click up with some people, if I could use social media, do a hashtag, pay teachers 100 grand, which I've been trying to do that shit, by the way. But get teachers throughout the state of Mississippi to galvanize, to say, we're walking out of these classrooms until we get $100,000 a year. Shut this bitch down. And then we go in to our principals and our superintendents and the state superintendent and say, we shutting the schools down in the state until we get what we want. Or something at least that we can stomach. That would be collective bargaining. That would be collective bargaining, y'all. Okay? Much more effective than just doing shit solo. All right? As I used to tell the children, I want y'all to see me when I say this. And goddamn it, I can't remember where I got this from. But when you do shit individually, you are like the individual digits on your hand, your fingers. Okay. And when those fingers are separate, if a motherfucker slapped you, it would hurt, it would sting. Okay. I think I may have got this from Malcolm X. I think I heard Brother Malcolm say this shit. But if you bring those digits together, you bring those 5 fingers together, okay, into a fist, and you hit a motherfucker with that, hell, you might knock that son bitch out. And the point of that metaphor is you are much stronger doing something collectively than you are individually. So remember that. Remember that. Okay. Collective bargaining is effective. Take a look at this picture, y'all. Take a look at this picture, y'all. Okay. I want y'all to notice who in that bitch working. Okay. So this is a picture of child laborers in 1890. Again, if you're listening to me instead of watching, because you're driving, you're on the job, keep doing what the fuck you're doing. Now, don't try to look at this shit and lose your job or run off the road, okay? But it's a picture of kids working. Kids, okay? Look at that shit. Pay attention to that boy right here, man. The boy holding the spindle of thread. This man got a whole job and ain't got no shoes on. He ain't got no shoes on, but got a whole job. See, some of the youngins out here be saying they want to work. You know, now you teaching, you know, you'll have motherfucker in class, he'll act like they bored with your class and shit. Like you boring them. Like, they could be doing something better with their time. You know, they wish they ain't had to come to school. They wish they can just go get a job. But then I'll show them shit like that. Okay. You think that's like your motherfucking ass wanted. Cause once upon a time you had that option. Your ass be out here working like a motherfucker and be broke. Now you might say, well, first, goddamn. Where the parents? Where the parents? Hey, the parents probably work at the same goddamn plant. And the supervisor there had the power to whoop these folks' ass, whoop these kids' ass if they were getting out of line there. So they like to use these kids a lot of times to do some of the little odd jobs and shit. And if the kids don't want to motherfucking work, goddamn supervisor might put hands on them. Now some of y'all, you ain't gonna put hands on my kid. Okay. They gonna fire your ass right along with your kid. That was life. That was life. Late 1800s. During the industrial age. Let's go. All right, so these are some of the notable labor unions of the late 1800s. Okay. First of all, we got the Knights of Labor. It included all workers from any trade, and it was devoted to broad social reform. Okay. The American Federation of Labor, also known as the AFL, it included skilled workers. Okay, so you see, Knights of Labor included all workers, skilled or unskilled. AFL only included skilled workers and focused on specific worker issues. So let's look at the difference between skilled and unskilled. Again, this is high school level shit, so I try to keep shit as basic as possible. Skilled work is like work that you take some training for. Okay, take some training. Carpentry, that's skilled work. Motherfucker got to teach you how to do this shit. Being a mechanic, that's skilled work. Motherfucker got to teach you about a carburetor and shit and a transmission. Okay, that's skilled work. Unskilled work. Being a janitor. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just take much training for that shit. You know, you point me to what the fuck I'm supposed to, you know, clean up, what trash I'm supposed to empty. I get it done. You know, that's an easy difference. Okay, skilled versus unskilled work. So if you were in the Knights of Labor, that included all workers from any trade, very diverse. You know what I'm talking about, motherfucker, in terms of skill, in terms of type of jobs, all that shit. AFL, skilled workers. Okay. Focusing on specific worker issues. All right. The American Railway Union, ARU, included rail workers. Okay. And again, remember now, the railroad was, as we talked about in the first lesson, the railroads were game changing in America. Okay. So you definitely needed these motherfucking railway workers. For real, for real. All right. And they knew that. And that's why they conducted the Pullman strike of 1894. Okay. Now let's talk about strike real quick. What is a strike? I gave you the definition earlier. A strike is when workers refuse to work until their demands are met. A strike is different from a boycott, y'all. A boycott is done by consumers, customers, okay? Motherfuckers who buy a product or service. That's who does a damn boycott, okay? And we're gonna be very distinct about it. I know people be trying to use them like they're interchangeable, but I like to make sure that I let people know the distinctions between shit. So, of course, in our culture, we know about the Montgomery bus boycott. Well, that was the black people choosing not to purchase that service, choosing not to use the buses until their demands were met to stop the fucking segregation on the buses. That's a boycott. Okay. But these motherfuckers going on strike, that's when workers refuse to work until their demands are met. Demands could include we want more money, we want better benefits, we want fewer hours, whatever the fuck you want. You go on strike until you get your shit. You might not get your shit. Okay. You might not get what you want. All right. But it's a tactic that labor unions use to try to get what they want. Okay, let's go. A movement called socialism spread through Europe in the 1830s. It held that wealth should be distributed equally to everyone. Most Americans rejected socialism, but some labor activists borrowed ideas from it to support social reform. Now, again, like I said, you've heard this term a lot this year, presidential election year 2024. You often hear Republicans calling Democrats socialists. That ain't nothing new. That's been a common thing here. I can take y'all back, and we will talk about Franklin Roosevelt on down the line. There, I can take you back to motherfucker call him a socialist. Okay, so that ain't nothing new. Republicans calling Democrat a damn socialist. All right, but just based on the textbook definition, man, Kamala Harris was not somebody saying wealth should be distributed equally to everyone. She didn't say that. She didn't say that. She rich hell. And she don't want to lose that status. Okay. But the fact that people like her support programs, social reform programs that try to make things more equal, to try to take taxpayer dollars, increase taxes on the rich, and use those taxes to help people at the lower, in the lower classes. Some Americans view that as socialistic. Okay. And we are very, we got this individualistic mindset in America. We got this independent streak, this pull yourself up by your bootstrap. Don't depend on anybody. A lot of people believe in that viewpoint. Okay. And so I think America is kind of like a balancing act between those two ideas. You feel me? So this shit ain't nothing new. People arguing about socialism ain't nothing fucking new. Okay. Especially during this goddamn time, late 1800, where you see these workers getting fucked over. All right. So you're gonna have some labor activists who gonna, be heavily influenced by socialism. Let's go. As membership in unions grew in the 1870s, a wave of confrontations between labor and management rocked the country. A major strike of railroad workers in 1877 resulted in the federal government sending in troops to restore order. Now, I want y'all to pay attention to this, okay? On these next series of slides, you're going to see confrontations between labor and management, between workers and the business owners, okay? The motherfuckers doing the work and the rich folk. You're going to see these confrontations. And in the late 1800s, you're going to mostly see the government taking the side of management, the rich, the business owner, okay? Look at this example. A major strike of railroad workers in 1877 resulted in the federal government sending in troops to restore order. Okay? Y'all ain't finna fuck up this shit. Y'all ain't finna shut down these railroads, Jack. Fuck y'all thinking this is. Y'all ain't finna shut this down. That's what they want back then. They go. All right. Across the nation, workers mounted demonstrations for more rights. One such protest in Chicago turned violent. The 1886 Haymarket riot made many Americans wary of labor unions. Now, if you can, take a look at this picture here. Okay. Look at bro down there, laid out. Imagine you were living at this time. You're feeling fucked over by your employer. You're tired of the low pay. You're tired of the fucked up working conditions, and you want to take to the streets and demonstrate. You want labor unions and shit like that. Okay. But then you find out about this shit, the Haymarket riot, and how this shit got violent, and how some folk died in this shit. As I said, many Americans became wary of labor unions. Many Americans were like, man, fuck that shit. I don't like my job, but I ain't trying to get killed behind this shit. Let's go. Yet another conflict broke out with the homestead strike. Troops were called in to quell fighting between workers in Carnegie Steel, and quell just meaning to stop it. Okay. 1 year later, the Pullman Palace Car Company laid off rail workers and cut wages. This touched off the Pullman strike, which halted nationwide railroad traffic and mail delivery. All right, now, first of all, let's look at the homestead strike. But I want you to pay attention. You see, again, troops were called in to stop the fight. Okay. And y'all know goddamn well Carnegie ain't go to jail either. Cause that shit was violent, Jack. Motherfucker got killed behind this shit. I'm gonna show y'all. Take a look at this one. The Pullman strike. Halting nationwide railroad traffic and mail delivery? Hmm? You think these motherfuckers gonna let you shut down the mail, dog? Y'all already know what's gonna happen on the next slide, man. I ain't gotta tell y'all. You know what's gonna happen? The government ordered strike organizers led by Eugene B. Debs to end the strike. Y'all fucking with the money, Jack. These railroads is money. These railroads are like the interstate. Okay? Ain't no interstate back then, okay? You ain't got the highway system, you ain't got the interstate system. So these railroads, this how we getting these products off, Jack. That's how we getting this mail delivered, Jack. And you motherfuckers finna stop working because of what? Y'all want some more money? Because the working condition fucked up? Fuck y'all. Y'all better get back to work. So they told the labor leader, Eugene B. Dale, hey, dog, end the strike. But he refused and was sent to jail. Troops were called in to end the strike. Y'all see this shit, right? Y'all see this, right? I know shit fucked up right now, but shit could be worse. Shit could be worse. Let's go. Effects on the labor movement. Employers successfully appealed for court orders against unions. Contract disputes and strikes continued to occur as American industry grew. The labor movement split into different factions. Debs helped organize the American Socialist Party and the IWW, which is the Industrial Workers of the World. Okay. Uh, let's look at that first one up there. It said employers successfully appeal for court orders against unions. Remember I talked y'all about the Sherman Antitrust Act. We looked at that previously. Okay. I told you that was put in place to try to stop monopolies, right? To try to stop the Rockefellers of the world and the Carnegies and shit. I kept telling y'all they tried to regulate them with that shit. But in actuality, hell, the industrialists started using that shit against the workers. They started using that shit to get the courts to stop the unions from doing shit because they started saying the unions were in restraint of trade. Ain't that a bitch? That industrial age, a motherfucker, Jack. It was a motherfucker. Again, some could argue that a lot of the shit that was going on then is going on today with the way tech is dominating shit and going largely unregulated. We'll talk about that more though. We'll talk about that. We'll talk. I'm just giving you the facts. So short lesson this week. Okay. Didn't take us that much time to get through that one for you, but let's review real quick our key terms that we covered. All right, we looked at sweatshop, company town, collective bargaining, socialism, Knights of Labor, Terrence B. Powderly, Samuel Gompers, the AFL. Let's go on down here. The Haymarket Riot, the Homestead Strike, Eugene B. Debs, the Pullman Strike, the American Railway Union, and reform. And I don't think I gave you a definition for reform. I apologize. The way I teach it is a reform is supposed to be a change for the better. Okay. A change for the better. All right. You send a motherfucker to reform school, they supposed to go and get change for the better. They ain't supposed to come back worse. They supposed to be better. Now, most motherfuckers I know that went to reform school, they got worse, but that's another story. Okay. But when you see or hear a politician talk about making a reform, they acting like they are trying to make some kind of change to either a government program or some kind of change in society that they hope would make things better. Okay. So if you don't remember the definition to some of those words, make sure you rewind this bitch, go back and listen to me again earlier on. We were talking about it. Don't forget, we got a quiz next week now. Okay. On the industrial age. I want y'all motherfuckers to be ready for that shit. I'm gonna go through it, I'm gonna reteach everything, but you want to be able to hold your own when I'm giving y'all those questions. Okay. Before we get out of here, I do want to show y'all this clip. This comes from The Men Who Built America. Again, I highly recommend that for anybody who loves history or anybody who's just trying to learn more about this shit. Really, that documentary will take you from the late 1800s all the way through shit, at least the 1920s. All right. And it does focus on the industrialists. It focuses on Rockefeller and Carnegie and J.P. Morgan and Cornelius Vanderbilt. I think they got Henry Ford up in that bitch. So it's some good shit. To me, I know the title may be off-putting, The Men Who Built America, like uh, enslaved people didn't largely build this bitch, or white working class motherfuckers didn't largely build this shit, or Chinese immigrants and all that kind of shit. I understand that, okay, but the shit is well done and you can learn a lot from it, okay. But I want to show y'all this video uh, that recreates the Homestead Strike. All right, so you can see how this shit went left, dog, and how Carnegie and his underling, Henry Frick, got away with this shit. Okay, so again, the setting is in Pennsylvania. Uh, the Pittsburgh Steelers, who was one of the most notable franchises in all of sports, um, beloved in the black community. Shit behind the Cowboys, these black men Steelers fans, goddamn it. Uh, the Steelers are known as the Steelers in part because Pennsylvania is heavily known for the goddamn steel industry, and Andrew Carnegie is a large part of that. You feel me? So this shit went down in Homestead, Pennsylvania. Long story short, management wanted to keep costs low. Didn't want to pay their workers right. Didn't want to improve working conditions. The workers went on strike, and they did what you basically call like a sit down strike, where the motherfuckers refused to work, but they also refused to leave the factory. So replacements couldn't be brought up in that bitch. You feel me? And management wasn't having that shit. They called in some goons, and the rest is history. All right. But this is a recreation, video representation of the Homestead strike.
Tear down this barricade! Fire!
When the fighting stops, 9 Carnegie Steel workers lie dead, while countless others sustain severe injuries. But they manage to hold their ground until Pennsylvania's governor sends in the state militia to finally restore order. Homestead is back in the hands of management.
Motherfuckers got killed behind this shit. And do you think Andrew Carnegie went to jail? Even though they hired some motherfuckers who ended up killing some of their workers? Come on, dog. That's it for realist history for this week. All right. I told y'all I am committed to delivering y'all the truth. Obviously, we fucking need it, given the results of this previous election. And this is my way of fighting back. And no sense of me having this damn knowledge like this. I delivered it directly in the classroom for a decade. I delivered it as an educational consultant for 6 years. But now in this business, the entertainment business, I get to take the filter completely off. Just tell y'all exactly like it is. And that's what I always did. Okay. But I would just tell the truth and let the students, make their own opinion of what the truth was. And I only gave my opinion if they asked for it. But goddamn it, here, I'm gonna give you the truth, but I'm also gonna give you that real shit from me as well. All right. Obviously, this world needs it. Put it on some.